Hi, I am Rasheed Ogunlaru, coach, speaker, and author, and I'm beyond excited to be here with Karl Pearsall. Karl, there's so many things to say about you. You began your career in the house music scene. Keen to hear a bit about that. Perhaps for many people, you're best known as the founder of the Yes Group. You've run events, run Yes Groups in 50 countries around the world, and I think you were saying you've just been to them all. And you're author of Masterminding and that whole idea about masterminding. And we are just so delighted that you're going to be our coaching star joining us on Thursday, the 12th of May this year, 7 p.m. GMT. Actually, I think it'll be British summertime by then. Karl, a really warm welcome to you. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great today. And thank you so much for making the time to speak to me today. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some great ideas and some of the things I've learned over 30 years of being in the personal development industry for all your coaches that really want to, transform and make their business a success.
I can't wait. And I'm lucky that I've got front row seats. So I don't have to compete like with those 20,000 people or having 2,000 people at the events that you've run in the past. So Karl, I want to ask a number of things. I think that we're going to be talking about a number of things really about that thing about, I guess, building your network, your brand, your community as a coach in this particular world. And I guess that you've helped people with all of those things. You've helped people you've been a catalyst to help people understand their brand far more. You've built these incredibly successful communities. And Karl, I don't want to give too much away about your story, but can you tell us a little bit about where it all began for you? Where did your interest in personal development begin?
Well, it really started when I failed. Yeah, because I say I failed. I had a very successful business and it came to an end, and we go through life and we have success, and then sometimes things die and new things begin. And I think a lot of people on the coaching journey found themselves doing that because they recognized that they wanted to make a difference and help people avoid the challenges and difficulties that they had. That obviously is a motivation for us. My success way back when I was a youngster was in the nightclub industry, and I was experienced, and I had lots of contacts. And when the dance music scene evolved, and I was in a position to take that opportunity, and I ran the largest nightclub in London for a couple of years, and we put on lots of the prominent acts came through there at the time. And we had the Pet Shop Boys as guests coming along, and we ended up doing their end of world tour party, which was incredible at Pinewood Film Studio. So I was really living a high lifestyle in those days. And just to give some context, we were turning over about £1.5 million, most of that in cash. It was a crazy time of my life. And this was like, 25, 30 years ago. So that's probably
how old were you? Can I say when all this happened? You were a very young man.
I was in my mid-20s then, right? So it all came to me too young, I say, in some ways, because I sort of, didn't really appreciate it and make the best investments with the money that I had. But the thing is that, I came out of that very, I came out with money, but I was unhappy. So I had to find, what's wrong with my life that I can be successful and not happy. So that took me to a personal development journey. I went into a sort of sabbatical year, and then I was sort of on a spiritual journey. And then I, wanted to sort of get back to doing something commercially. And, Tony Robbins, the story was that I saw him when I was traveling backwards and forwards to the States on the airplane and the late night infomercials then. And I was curious, and I got a ticket to go, and I met loads of great people. And the thing about that was that I met all these amazing people with high energy, and we did this firewalk experience, and it was a completely new world to me. And I thought, I've got to hang on to these people. There was no social media, no email to keep in contact. We were exchanging business cards, and we decided to meet up. So there's about a dozen of us met up, and that's where the Yes Group began. We put on. We said, let's meet every month. Let's see who we can get to come and talk to us and teach us stuff. So we then, for the next 25 years plus, we met once a month. And obviously people came and went, and we grew and grew, and people came into our room in London and said, I live in Slovenia, or I live in Sweden. I'd love to have this in my city. And I said, well, yeah, let's do it. So we've started with, people in Norwich, and people in Bristol, and people in Cardiff, and people in Nottingham. And I supported them, and we just grew this massive network of and the speakers went on the road, so to speak, and spoke at all the groups.
I mean, it's an incredible story. And am I right that was way back in 1993?
It all evolved over a long period of time, you know, and, you know, I've been to Slovenia and Sweden, but we've had them in Africa and Australia and America, and people used the model and what I could share with them about that, and took away what they learned in London to make those things happen.
I mean, to me, it sounds like a remarkable journey, building this sense of community, this network, hosting some of the world's most prominent personal development speakers. I think you talked about before, people like John DiMartini, John Grindler, Bob Proctor, big names, and so on. Some of the things I'm keen to talk to you about when you come and guest with us is this thing about community and network, because for me, it's really important that we have that support. I get the feeling that you being somebody who understands that point about support, maybe that ties with your whole, that piece of work you did around masterminding. I'll be really interested in your thoughts around that, Karl, because I think so many people, when they're starting out on this coaching journey and so on, may well struggle. They might be lucky to meet some other coaches, but for some reason, often we're like that, and then we find ourselves all alone. I think that can happen for anyone in business, not just actually coaches anyway. So I mean, I'll be interested in your thoughts about that, but also that thing about brand. I think you were saying something really interesting before we started to record this about people being congruent. And what are some of the themes, without giving too much away, what are some of the key themes that you're wanting to put out there when you come and speak to us in May?
Thanks, Rasheed. Yeah, I think for me, trying to think of all those answers, I've got 3 or 4 thoughts simultaneously going off in my head right now. I want to, with the masterminding piece was really an expression of peer-to-peer learning, you know, peer-to-peer support. We found out about masterminding through Think and Grow Rich, and we learned that people can be more successful if they have other people around them in the role of being a coach. Before it was formalized into this model of coaching that we have today, people were, you know, might meet up as a group of directors in a company, have a group like that. So the idea, I really believe that beyond the guru at the front of the room and beyond all the books on the shelves and the audio programs, we can learn so much from each other, you know, both what works and what doesn't work. You know, authentic sharing of success can also be very inspirational. So, you know, we can encourage each other and, you know, really build a network of empowered people around us that are going to reflect back to us our own success. And one of the things I talk about when I go out and talk is about acknowledging yourself for the success you have, but also acknowledging others for the success that they've done, because it becomes reciprocal and you find that you surround yourself with this empowered and empowering group of people. So I'm really a champion of peer-to-peer networking and peer-to-peer support. The other thing you talked about was for me, becoming congruent in whatever we do is really important to be successful. We've heard this term imposter syndrome spoken about quite a lot. One of the ways I see that is, you know, how are we, do we 100% own this idea of being a coach? And what would it take for us to get to 100% of being a coach? You know, we've encouraged our members at the Yes Group to get on the stage as part of their personal development journey. It's been part of my personal development journey. And, you know, one of the things I say to get to that point is say, you know, do you own the identity of being a speaker? Well, we're all, you know, a lot of people on a journey to that, or a coach. And I suggest that we figure out what's the rules and what do we believe about that's stopping us owning that 100%. So becoming congruent is in anything in life is a way to, you know, become more confident and learn more skills and be better at what we do.
You know, what you're saying here, Karl, is magical. I think just a couple of things I want to say just before we close. I think the first thing I want to say is just a big thank you for somebody who's been in this industry for a while, nearly 20 years. And you've been in this field far longer than that. I just want to say a big thank you for all of those people who come along to groups like the Yes Group, who've come along to the various Yes Groups, and lots of people have been inspired to go on their own personal personal, professional development journey. Because for all of the people who probably have said thank you to you personally or to other people in your team, I bet you there's tens, maybe even hundreds of people who haven't. So I really want to thank you for that. And one of the things that's really impressed me about you is your own congruence, your own authenticity around this, and your own genuine passion for this, which I think is really genuinely inspiring and is really encouraging, and is what this space is about. And I'm really I'm so excited that this is an event that anybody who's a coach, and perhaps people who are passionate around coaching, or perhaps advocates around coaching, can come along to be inspired. Perhaps it's going to light that fire for them in terms of their walk and their journey further forward. So Karl, I'm really excited. I can't wait to interview you. And I'm hoping that, just for people who don't know, the nature of it is that you can come along. I'll be interviewing you a bit about your story. I'm fascinated to hear. I'm really keen to hear about your story. I think that there's fascinating things, Karl, in your story, your own journey, Yes Group, the Tony Robbins bit that inspired, the speakers, what you've learned from them, these key things around community, around the authenticity, around congruence, around how it is that we can learn more together. I'm really, really excited. Karl, any last words that you wanted to say to anyone who's thinking about coming along before we wrap up today?
Yeah, thanks, Rasheed. I think for me, I believe that community is really important, and it's something that I've been involved in, whether it be in the nightclubs or the Yes Group and other projects that I've been involved in. I really would encourage people to be part of your community as a coach, because I do think that we learn so much from each other, and it's such an opportunity to figure out what works and how we can express ourselves with our peers in a way that helps us build our mindset. And that's what's going to make the difference between success or not, building your mindset.
Karl, thank you so much. So join me and Karl, 7 p.m. to 8:30, British Summer Time, the 12th of May. Karl, thank you so much. I can't wait. I'm so glad I got front row seat, and see you there.